Okay, grab a chair. We'll begin with a chair psoas stretch. Setting up with your dominant leg back first. We'll be holding postures on our dominant side for 4 minutes, non-dominant side for 3.5 minutes. Deep flexibility allows you the time to really release into these posturally tight areas. If at any time you start experiencing pain, I'm going to give you a couple of options. So you should be in the chair psoas stretch right now. And the options in this stretch are just to stay here, hand on the hip, breathing into the stretch with that extended long back legs, hip flexor and quadricep opening up, or to add shoulder flexion, or to add lateral flexion, or to twist towards the top of the chair. And you can play around with a series of this if you want to keep it active. Inhaling center, exhaling to bend, inhaling center, exhaling to twist. You can do that at halftime. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, bending to the side. Inhale, lifting back up. And exhale, twisting. So you can play around with these different variations, but if any time you're in a stretch and it's bothering joints and you need to come out of it, here's a couple of options. One, cat-cow with hands on a chair or hands on the floor on all fours. I'll demonstrate both. Stay in your chair psoas stretch though. You need to stay here to really work on that flexibility of the hip flexors. So we've got cat-cow, or a more restorative posture, which we'll visit at the end of our practice today, child's pose. Another option, bringing the back against the wall, arms in cactus, working on that imprint, active opener of the front of the shoulders and the pecs, also strengthening the upper back as you imprint the spine into the wall. So again, if at any time a pose becomes too much, child's pose or cat and cow, or your wall imprint in cactus. You should still be on your dominant leg side, doing the variation of your choice, whether it's an isometric hold, hand on the hip, hand up in shoulder flexion, or perhaps you're doing lateral flexion, or maybe you're twisting towards the top of the chair. Wherever you are, let's engage the deepest layer of our core with active breathing. Pulling the belly in towards the spine as if you're putting a tight pair of jeans on. Tugging in and up on those muscles that stop your stream of pee. As you force your air out your mouth, you fog a mirror. Notice I'm not pursing my lips. There's no need to create wrinkles around your lips. Just let that air out by opening your mouth. If the fog a mirror sound doesn't work for you, then think about ocean-like sound or Darth Vader sound. If you're unsure of whether you are exhaling through the mouth and breathing, put one hand in front of your mouth and feel the air coming out. It's important that you are actively breathing. And a lot of people ask, well, if my belly's in, how do I breathe? I want you to breathe into your upper back and side body. Direct the air into that area. This way, we're not disengaging in the core, putting our low back in a compromising position. We're still on this dominant side. I know it's a long time, but this is deep flexibility and this is level 3. You're going to condition yourself to be able to maintain this by using your core. Go ahead and slowly switch to the non-dominant side. As I mentioned, we'll be on the non-dominant side 30 seconds less, so we'll be here for 3.5 minutes. As you're working into this posture, don't hesitate to keep it active. I'm going to go through different variations. You can follow me, or you can stay in a posture or a variation that feels good on your body. If you close your eyes as you're stretching, make sure that doesn't mean that you check out, close your mouth, and stop breathing. Obviously, we don't stop breathing, but you shorten your breath. I really want you to elongate your breath. So you should know how long you're able to inhale and how long you're able to exhale. So maybe it's a 4 count, 5 count, 6 count. It depends on your breath capacity. It doesn't matter to me what it is as long as it's consistent. So we're inhaling, belly pulled in towards the spine, lifting in and up on the muscles that stop your stream of pee, and fogging a mirror with the exhale. This is a challenging thing to do, but just make sure you're pulling your core in and you're directing the air to the back and side body. Chin lifted, gaze soft, collarbone wide, but that doesn't mean you push your rib cage out. So always, as you're stretching in an upright position, imagine hands on those shoulder blades and bring your back ribs into those hands. This is going to allow you to feel your back body a little bit more. Stretching can be just as challenging as strength work if you're focusing on your form as you're doing it. So I'm not going to let you zone out in the sense and reinforce poor postural habits here. Yes, we want to get into those posturally type muscles. Yes, this is going to help us relax, release stress and anxiety, and build a deeper awareness of our body. But at the same time, we should be conditioning that deepest layer of the core. It's a two-part activity with the lower abdominals, and all it involves is the belly pulling in and then the tug inward and up on the muscles that stop your stream of pee. And know that that is an internal lift and that it's not visible to someone watching. Only you can feel that and sustain that for the duration of your exhale. So the longer you keep the abs in and lift up on those muscles that stop your stream of pee, the longer you contract that deepest layer of your core, the transverse abdominis. And in contracting that transverse abdominis, you build a strong inner wall for your core. This protects your low back. It protects getting a tummy pooch, even if you're skinny, from organs pushing forward through that fascia. So it's important to condition it. You've got 20 more seconds here. The psoas is one of the tightest muscles for lordosis and kyphotic lordotic posture. So we're starting out with one of our very challenging areas. If you're having trouble, just stay with me. We're going to transition now, bringing our third to heaviest loop band. This is our blue loop band in the YouniquelyFit kit, the blue loop band around our outer thighs. And with it around our outer thighs, we're going to come to lie on our stomachs, prone, on the floor. I'd like you to kick your dominant heel towards your butt, pulling the abs in towards the spine and pointing the toes, pointing both sets of toes. And if you can look back, make sure that you're not turning the foot in as you point the foot, that it's parallel and pointed. Working those metatarsals. You may get some foot cramps. This is okay. This is just working new muscles, or perhaps doing something that's just different from what your muscles are used to. Feel free to do some ankle circles, and I would do them externally, so away from the body. Or you can tuck the toes under just to give it a break when you need to. Now I have this band here so that if you have any back issues, you can keep your legs hip distance apart and feel the outsides of the legs. Just pushing into that band a little bit. And keeping the knees safe with that band above the thighs and just not over extending our legs out to the side or bringing them in too narrow. As you kick the heel to the booty, make sure that you don't lean over to one side. Try to keep the bony protrusions on your hips square like headlights into the floor, pushing heavy into the floor. And in this prone position, I often see the belly just pushing into the floor. I see people start belly breathing. Please avoid this because your back is in a position here where there's a lot of extension. This is reinforcing that extension that we want to learn to neutralize. So how can we do that? We can stay active in our breathing, that TVA breathing, that transverse abdominis breathing. Inhaling laterally into the upper back and side body, pulling the belly in towards the spine, and lifting in and up on those muscles that stop your stream of pee to fog a mirror with each exhale. So it's different to breathe with your belly pulled in. We're used to thinking about breathing and relaxing. And there are two forms of breathing. There's diaphragmatic belly breathing, which relaxes the nervous system. And there's this active breathing, which contracts our deepest layer of the core. And we might have a chance to do a little bit of that belly breathing towards the end of our work together today. But for now, we're staying active. We're staying engaged in our lower abdominals. So belly in, inhale laterally, lift up on the muscles that stop your stream of pee, and fog a mirror. The forehead is resting down on the knuckles of the other hand. Our hips are even. And I sometimes like to think as I inhale about someone having a hold of my pelvis and pulling it down towards the bottom of the mat so I don't crunch up in my side body or hike up in one of my hips. It's easy to do that, but we want to avoid that. So use that low belly to pull in, lengthen on your inhales, deepen into the stretch on your exhales. Soften the facial muscles, soften the chest muscles, the jaw, the eyes and the sockets. Only thing that's really actively firming is the abdomen. The toes are pointing nice and parallel. They're staying active and the belly is in. If you're doing that, you're doing great. Let's slowly switch sides, setting up for our slightly shorter set, 3.5 minutes on the other side. Now, as you're opening up the quadriceps, this can be a pretty intense stretch. One of the other very, very tight areas with lordosis and kyphotic lordotic. Be gentle on yourself. Really utilize your breath because it does help relax you. And it keeps your abs engaged. And everybody wants a flat stomach. So let's work towards that together. And stay here, keep stretching. And remember, if at any time your joints are bothering you, child's pose, stay in the quad stretch. I'm just going to show you cat and cow or cactus against the wall imprint. Always an option to come into one of those if you need a break from the stretch. We all are on our second side, our non-dominant side, and our prone quad stretch. We have that blue YouniquelyFit loop band around our outer thighs, just for safety's sake. We're pointing the metatarsals, that's our toes, and we're actively breathing. Got the two-part abdomen work, the belly pulling in, and the internal lift of the muscles that stop your stream of pee. Holding that inward pull up for the duration of our exhale. And again, try to not push your rib cage into the floor. Soften the front ribs towards your shoulder blades. Your back ribs reaching for your shoulder blades, so that your upper back is still engaged even in a prone position. Watch out for the shoulders starting to creep up towards the ears. Plug them down toward the feet. And notice where your mind is right now. Is it wandering? Can you bring it back to this moment? To the stretch you're doing, to your breath, to the form, to the pointing of the toes, to the softening in the facial muscles, the eyes, the pecs, those are your chest muscles, the front of your shoulders, your jaw, all of those areas that need to work less. Let's actively work to keep our belly in, but don't hold your breath. Inhale, breathing into the side body and upper back. Lift the muscles that stop your stream of pee, ocean-like sound. And in this prone position, you should feel the air, perhaps a little bit with the hand that's close to your forehead. Be a good indicator that you are actually breathing in and out. Another 15 seconds here. Go easy. And let's slowly make our way to lie supine on our foam roller. That means our tailbone is at the bottom and our head is at the top. And in this position, take a moment if you're nervous about being on the roller to allow your spine to adjust. You can put both hands to the side on the floor and rock side to side, just feeling that you're not going to fall. We still have the loop band around our outer thighs, that blue loop band in the YouniquelyFit kit. And I want you to find a neutral pelvis. And with that neutral pelvis, so that's somewhere between rounding and arching your back, so there's a little mouse hole between the low back and the roller. Soften your sternum in towards the roller. Wrap the shoulder blades around the roller, plug the shoulders down the back towards the heels, and slowly bring your arms into cactus. We'll hold those arms in cactus for the next 3.5 minutes. And if at any time you need some water, you can come off that roller, grab water, or later down the line when we transition to the next posture, stretching, you can grab a sip then. Let's talk about water. You need 8 cups a day. Every cup of alcohol and caffeine you have, that adds an additional cup of water you need to be hydrated. It's often that people are actually thirsty, not hungry, when they grab for food and snacks. Make it a priority as you are dieting, if weight loss is a goal, to always have a full glass of water by you, if not 2. And I like to, when I'm dining out, ask for water without ice, because ice water is a little harder to drink in bulk, for me at least. And this way, I never take more than 10 bites of food without following it up with 10 sips of water. Great way to exercise portion control. And this isn't easy for a lot of people. And emotions are attached. We're still in our Pec Minor Stretch here, cactus pose. If you want to make it active, you can press the arms up and bend the elbows and bring them down. Press them up and you can bring them down. So just stay in that stretch, either holding it or actively lifting the arms up and bending at the elbows to bring them down. So as I said, emotions are attached to eating. And if you find yourself snacking, it doesn't even have to be every day. It could be every other day. It could be once a week. That still adds up. You can still add weight that way. And so how can we avoid that? I never tell people to cut certain foods out of their diet, because I do believe that balance is the key, and that there are healthy and unhealthy things we all enjoy. And those unhealthy things in moderation can be just fine as long as you're exercising, getting the proper sleep, and water. So if your emotions are high and you're feeling like you want to go for a donut run or eat a whole bag of chips, I urge you to grab those cups of water and get 1 donut or 1 serving of chips. And remember the 10-bite rule, no more than 10 bites. Follow it up with 10 full sips of water. Go for a walk, take a bath with Epsom salts, call a friend, watch something that makes you laugh out loud. See if you're really still hungry. Journal, that's another great way to get to the root of the emotions that could be causing you to overeat. Or just to eat because, you're bored. From here, we're going to grab our small trigger ball. And this can be a lacrosse ball, tennis ball. You can also use the foam roller in the same area if you do not have a trigger ball. Come to a side lying position with your top leg being your dominant leg, the leg farthest away from the floor. Have a pillow, anti-burst ball, or yoga block to put under your head. And we're going to roll the posterior tibialis. And this is below the knee, getting into that fascia. Go ahead and begin. We'll be here for 4 minutes. I'm also going to show you one other spot you can get. You can go above the knee as well. You can get into that spot at this time. So below the knee into that fascia and above the knee medially. Playing around with those spots. Circular motion or just digging in, pressing heavy in. You know how much you can tolerate, and you need to really allow yourself to push a little bit because we want this self-myofascial release. Trigger ball work stimulates the Golgi tendon organ, which releases muscle knots and sends signals to the brain, allowing these knots to dissipate. This increases range of motion, allows you to access other muscles that aren't firing as efficiently because of the overactivity of certain muscles. And typically with lordosis, we see subtle pronation to heavy pronation depending on the atrophy in other muscle areas in your body. And pronation is rolling in the feet. And if the feet roll in, the knees eventually cave in. And this can lead to a lot of different kinds of injuries. And most importantly, it doesn't allow you to enhance a sport or to stay safe as you move through space with the best functional movement for your body. So perhaps you're now above the knee, or maybe you're still below the knee. Wherever you are, be there. Again, don't disengage with your core. I don't want you belly breathing right now. I want your belly in. I want you laterally breathing into the rib cage, tugging in and up on the muscles that stop your stream of pee, and fogging a mirror with every exhale. So if you have sensitive knees, if you get knee pain from walking, hiking, running, exercise in general, squats, lunges, I'd encourage you after you do exercises and make sure you're learning to do them with correct form. For instance, when you squat, your feet are hip distance apart if you're doing certain squats, and the inner thighs are pulling you back and the abs are engaged. And the knees, when you're lunging and squatting, are tracking over your second and third toes, your second and third metatarsals. This will keep those knees safe. But in the meantime, as you work on your tracking, this is a great thing to do if you feel any subtle twinge as you're working or walking during the day or doing steps. Great reset. So below the knee, right near the knee, below the knee, and above the knee, medially. Posterior tibialis, and that fascia line that helps drop your femur bone down above the knee, that's trigger spot that can be very, very tender. So we're going to be on this side for another 40 seconds. Still getting into the knee, above the knee, or below the knee. There's always more work to be done. So if it's digging in a little harder, if it's circular motions, if it's back and forth, you can even kind of prop yourself up on your arm to apply more of your body weight into the release. This probably is too much for certain people, but could be a great challenge for others. Let's make our way to the second side, remembering to start below the knee. And as those muscle fibers loosen up, you can take it above the knee. Grab a sip of water whenever you need one. I'm going to take a few sips now. And if you're someone who dislikes water, play around with cutting up some limes or lemons or oranges. One of my favorite is super simple. It's 2 sprigs of rosemary, and I'm in California, so I cut those sprigs off from our bush, put them right into the water, and add a few slices of orange, and this is fantastic. But in general, making spa water can sometimes motivate you to drink more water. So that's another great tool as you're introducing the idea of more water into your diet. I'm a big advocate of sleep and water. I think they're transformational in regards to your exercise ability, your ability to have healthy relationships with both yourself and others. And they're key for your hunger hormones, because if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to be grabbing salmon and broccoli. You're going to be grabbing caffeine and alcohol and chocolate or whatever to spike up your adrenaline to push you through. And we want to learn how to do that naturally. It's not always easy, but it's definitely worth building your tool set. So let's talk about your sleep right now. You can go above the knee if you've gotten the knots out below the knee. Feel free to prop up onto the forearm if you need more pressure. You know what you can tolerate. Keep digging in. So how much sleep is enough sleep? Well, it definitely depends on you and your body and your ability to get into your deepest REM cycle. However, I have noticed with clients that are getting at least 7.5 hours, a major difference in metabolism and weight loss. So if you're not getting at least 7.5 hours a night consistently, you really need to think about your day and how you're structuring it. And you need to let something go so that you can allow your body that recovery time. And this is very important if weight loss is a goal, or if you're dealing with a chronic illness, or you're taking care of someone with a chronic illness. All of these situations require proper sleep for decision making, and decision making in what you eat, not only in what you eat, but in how you execute movement. I try to keep you as safe as possible. But at the end of the day, if you tune out because you're so tired, you can always injure yourself. So let's get our proper sleep, 7.5 to 9 hours a night. Let's slowly make our way over to a wall. We're going to bring our legs up the wall. Come into this slowly, and then you're going to open your legs out to the side into an adductor stretch. So in this position, I'm going to allow you to do belly breathing. We haven't done belly breathing today, but this is for your nervous system. So if you notice you're tensing up a lot and you're stressed, belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing is excellent for quieting the nervous system. If you have anxiety attacks, this is a game changer. So everybody bring your hands to your belly. And we're going to point our toes while we're here in this stretch. Try to keep our pelvis neutral, so don't arch it deeply. So that's somewhere between rounding and arching the back. We're going to push our belly out, directing the air into the belly for a count of 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to exhale, let the belly fall back towards the floor as we exhale out the mouth. 2, 3, 4. Keep going. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And with this, you can close your eyes. I'm going to keep mine open just as I'm practicing, and I'm your visual for the day, but you can close your eyes if that helps you relax your nervous system even more. Your shoulders are plugged down. And if at any time your knees are around, medially where we were just rolling start to bother you, make sure you're not locking the knees out. So you can always keep a little micro bend in the knees. The toes are pointed. You'll still get a stretch, but you can bring your legs up the wall straight for a little mini break because we do have quite a bit more time here. So feel free to bring the legs up for a break and then take them back out to the side. If you've had absolutely enough, remember our cat and cow option, child's pose, or that wall cactus, all of which are fantastic. Okay, so stay in this stretch. Keep breathing here. And we're doing our belly breathing. I'm letting you have that diaphragmatic breathing, and this is good for that nervous system. Let's get together, and we're going to do a 5 count now, pushing into the belly, directing the air to the belly. Here we go. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep it going. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point your toes. 2, 3, 4, 5. Press that belly out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let it fall in. 2, 3, 4, 5. 30 seconds. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Plug the shoulders down. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Last set. Inhale the legs up. 2, 3, 4. And together. And exhale. Come off the wall, bracing your abs. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make our way onto all fours, grabbing our third to heaviest loop band, our blue loop band, putting it around our elbows. A couple options here. We're going to take a down dog just to pedal out those calves, to work the upper back strength. You can always come into cat and cow when you've had enough. If you need to take the band off, you can take the band off. The band is here so that you don't only push down into the floor, but you also pull out, engaging the outer arms, the abductors of the arms, the posterior delts, the triceps to sculpt the arms nicely. Okay, you're going to notice when you come into down dog, the band is going to hit your forehead. I would like that to happen. I want you to actively press your forehead into the band, engaging the front of the neck. These muscles are weak, and this actually relaxes the back of the neck that's tight. So let's come into our inverted V shape. From here, inhale, pressing the head into the loop band, and exhale, pedaling the heels. 2, 3, 4, 5. So come back to your TVA breathing. No more belly breathing. Belly is in, and you're lifting up on the muscles that stop your stream of pee. You're directing the air now into your side body and back. Inhale, pulling the belly in, and bracing the abs as you pedal the feet. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, inhale, 2, 3, 4, and you're pushing the forehead into the band. Exhale and pedal. 2, 3, 4. Inhale, head pushes in, forehead, and exhale, you pedal. Try to keep a neutral pelvis, so it's somewhere between rounding and arching, reaching the tailbone towards the ceiling, pulling the low belly in, and if you need to come down to cat and cow, or the loop band becomes too much, you can always take it off. Cat and cow looks like this, arching and rounding, but I'd advise you to stay up as long as you can. You're building strength in your back. You're stretching your calves and your hamstrings. You're learning to use the abductors of the arms. You're strengthening your neck flexors. So many good things are happening here. But I know it's intense. So I ask you to honor your body and practice And please stay connected with your core muscles here. Pull the belly in. Breathe laterally. And a lot of people have trouble understanding this idea, but really there's only 3 parts. Belly in, breathe laterally, direct the air into the side body and upper back, and then lift up on the muscles that stop your stream of pee. Don't push the belly out. Keep the belly in and hold that lift for the duration of your exhale. So it's easier than it sounds. It sounds like, oh my gosh, that sounds so complicated. But once you've done it a couple times, then you'll realize it's not as hard as it sounds. So if you're tired, come onto all fours, but we still have over a minute here. So pulling out on that band, pushing down, trying to feel all corners of the hands on the mat. Sometimes the thumb around the pad of the thumb is a little less active. I want you to push the whole hand into the floor. And wherever you feel a little inactive, that's the part you should push a little harder. And you're pushing down and out, like you're splitting the mat in half. Belly's firm. And if you just want to hold the down dog, if you've had enough of the pedaling, stop the pedaling. Just hold your down dog and breathe. Tailbone up. Push down into the mat with the hands and pull out like you're trying to split that yoga mat in half. We're nearing the finish line, just 30 seconds to go. Always feel free to come into your cat-cow if you need to, but you're almost there. 20 seconds. Now's the time to really focus. Think about your goals. Think about how committing and staying with this will get you closer to them. 10 seconds. You showed up today. You took the time for flexibility, for strengthening the deepest layer of your core, for mindfulness and awareness, and to talk about healthy habits. Let's come out of that down dog. Set the loop band to the side. Grab your foam roller. Widen your knees about hip distance and place the wrists onto the foam roller. And you can go ahead and sit back into a child's pose. Now, if for some reason child's pose is a little too much for your knees or your quadriceps, those are your thighs, you can always take a standing forward fold. Now, if that bothers the back as well, come to the wall and do your wall cactus imprint that I showed you. So everybody should be in child's pose unless you have sensitive knees or a back issue. And in that case, if it's the knees, watch me, you can do a forward fold and keep the knees soft. If it's not the knees, if it's the back, you can come over to the wall, find your cactus position, and focus on imprinting as long as you can. And when you can't imprint anymore, you can round just your upper back down for a second, keeping the tailbone connected. This will keep your back safe as long as your abs are in. And then you can come right back to that imprint. So everybody should be in a position that feels good for their body. This is our final position. And as we're here, I still want the abs engaged. I let you have that belly breathing when we were doing the adductor stretch because that was the safest position. Now, child's pose is not a bad position. If you have any back issues, doing belly breathing could exacerbate it in child's pose, which is why I'm not suggesting it. But if you have a very strong back and you've never had back issues, you could belly breathe here. But if you want to err on the side of caution, which I always like to, I would pull your abs in as you're doing this stretch. And while we're here, we're going to stay in the center for the next 20 seconds, and then we're going to turn to the sides. And if you're doing the standing forward fold variation, you can roll up and you can twist over one leg. I'll show you and demonstrate that in just a few seconds here. Always get water if you need it. Honor your body. So, in child's pose, twisting to one side, head still between the hands, palms are still on the foam roller. Heavy the opposing hip, so the opposite hip of the direction you've twisted, down onto the heels, getting deeper stretch into that side of the low back. If you're standing, you can twist over one side of the body and fold forward. Keep the knees soft. If you're against the wall, Keep imprinting the upper back, mid-back, backs of the hands, knuckles. So I'm demonstrating everything, but you need to be where is the posture that's best for you right now. So honor that for the next 20 seconds. Breathing into it. Another 10 seconds here. Abs are in. Lateral breathing, shoulders plugged down, chin lifted. And let's take it to the other side. So child's pose on the other side, or rounding up, twisting over the other side if you're doing the forward fold version. If you're doing your standing imprint, maybe you need a little release of just your upper back. I'll show you a variation. Be where you are. You can do eagle arms, moving the elbows away from the chest and back to the chest and away from the chest and back to the chest. Round up and switch the elbow on top. Round back down, elbows up and down. And this just opens up that serratus anterior, our shoulder blade anchor, and allows us to have a bit of release from all that strength work if you were doing the wall variation. So finish up where you are. We got 10 more seconds. Counting you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job.